Elliot of Kellynch Hall. Walter Elliot, born March the 1st, 1760. Married July the 15th, 1784. Elizabeth, daughter of James Stevenson, Esquire of South Park in the county of Gloucester, by which lady, who died March the 20th, 1800. He had issue Elizabeth, born June the 1st, 1784.
I really think we should get some of those new China roses, Penelope, don't you?
Oh, what a good idea, Miss Elliot.
Anne, born August the 9th, 1787.
Surely there must be some way we can cut down the expenses, Lady Russell.
A stillborn son, November the 5th, 1789. Mary, born November the 20th, 1791. Married December the 16th, 1810. Charles, son and heir of Charles Musgrove, Esquire, of Uppercross in the county of Somerset.
Ah, Mary, there you are. I just walked through the fields and see if there are any pheasants about.
And leave me here all alone?
Principal seat, Kellynch Hall in the county of Somerset. Heir presumptive, William Walter Elliot, Esquire, great-grandson of the second Sir Walter.
Well, now that Mrs. Elliot is dead, perhaps Mr. Elliot's conduct will improve, Walter.
How can it? He's a man who's spoken slightingly of his own blood and future honours.
All the same, he is your heir.
He never even consulted me before he married her.
Oh, he was always a very unsteady man, Father.
Well, she gave him no children. We can be thankful for that, I suppose.
And his inheritance is still a good way off. I must say, I hope the estate will be in a better condition then than it is now.
Quite, Lady Russell.
Shepherd gave me the figures.
Oh, did he?
Anne and I have drawn up a scheme for cutting back your expenses and retrenching. Here it is.
Retrench? Can we retrench? Does it occur to you, Elizabeth, there's any way in which we can retrench?
Oh, Father, I've done all I can.
Oh, you have, Miss Elliot. I know you have.
I've cut off all unnecessary charities. I haven't refurnished the drawing room. I don't see what else I can do without compromising our dignity.
Nor do I. We are ill-used, Elizabeth. We're very unfortunate. I've mortgaged all I can. I won't sell.
Of course not.
The Kellynch estate will be passed on whole and entire as I received it.
You can be clear in 7 years if you will do what Anne and I suggest.
I beg leave, Sir Walter, to recommend Lady Russell's regulations.
It's our simple duty to clear our debts as soon as possible. There can be no dignity in anything else.
You will only be doing what a great number of our first families have done, or ought to do. Your feelings as a gentleman and as the head of a house are important, of course, Walter. But your reputation as an honest man is more important still.
But this is unendurable. What, every comfort of life knocked off? Journeys, London, servants, horses, table, contractions and restrictions everywhere.
Father, it's no use.
But to live without the decencies of a private gentleman. I'd sooner quit Kellynch Hall at once.
Well, Sir Walter, since the idea of leaving has been started in the very quarter which ought to dictate, I have no scruple in confessing my judgment to be entirely on that side.
What, Shepherd? What's that?
I am perfectly persuaded that nothing can be done without a change of abode, Sir Walter.
What? Leave Kellynch?
Well, it is certainly something you should consider.
Leave Kellynch.
My father believes it might be wisest, Miss Elliot.
It does not appear to me that Sir Walter can materially alter his style of living in a house which has such a character of hospitality and ancient dignity to support as Kellynch Hall.
There is no need to go on supporting it, surely.
Well, Miss Anne, in any other place, Sir Walter may judge for himself.
I cannot understand your meaning, Shepherd.
I think he means we could live more cheaply somewhere else.
Very true, Miss Anne, very true.
Oh.
In any other place, Sir Walter may be looked up to as one who sets the style, Miss Elliot, however he may choose to model his household.
Yes. Yes, I see what you mean.
Oh, but where would we go? Oh, you mean London, of course. Oh, yes, well, London. Yeah. Oh, I do quite like the idea of London.
I believe Bath is to be preferred, Sir Walter.
Oh, no. London or nowhere.
Couldn't we take a smaller house somewhere near here? Then we could still be close to Mary and to Lady Russell. And we could still sometimes see the grounds here.
A smaller house? Here? It's unthinkable.
Of course, Father. But Bath is only 50 miles away. It would be very convenient.
Very, especially for your friends. I should be able to see you every winter, for what?
And Bath is a very safe place for a gentleman in Sir Walter's predicament.
What, Shepherd?
Sir Walter may be of great consequence there, at comparatively little expense.
Sir Walter Elliot of Kellynch is of great consequence wherever he goes, Shepherd, and at whatever expense. If he does go, if he chooses to go.
I do wish we weren't going to Bath.
I think it's a very sensible decision.
Oh, it's sensible, yes, but I don't like Bath. It doesn't agree with me.
You think that because you were sent to school there after your mother died.
I wish we were staying near here.
Oh, you could never have asked your father to do that. And I think you yourself would have found it more mortifying than you imagine.
Well, it's been decided against me, as usual. I shall miss Kellynch and the country.
My dear, you shall spend every summer here with me. A change will do you good. You've not been away from home enough. Your spirits are low.
Oh, they're high enough.
I think a larger society will improve them. You should know more people, Anne. Your mother would have wanted it.
Oh, if she had still been alive, we would not be going to Bath at all. She always managed to keep my father within his income.
She was a very sensible woman. I loved her so much.
I know you did. I don't know what would have become of us after she died, if you had not been here.
Well, you are my own dear goddaughter, and a very good one, Anne.
What? Let Kellynch? Kellynch in the hands of other people?
Well, Sir Walter, the purpose of your move to Bath has always been to recoup.
Kellynch let?
There will be no need to advertise your intentions, Sir Walter.
Advertise? Advertise, Shepherd? Blazon my degradation to the whole world?
I was about to observe, Sir Walter, that advertisement will not be necessary.
I absolutely forbid you to drop the slightest hint of my having any intention whatsoever of letting my house.
Very good, Sir Walter.
But, Father, Shepherd is right. We must find a tenant.
Oh. If some most unexceptionable applicant were spontaneously to solicit my letting my house, as a great favour, and entirely on my own terms, it is possible that I might consider doing so.
Yes, Father. You do understand, Shepherd, that Kellynch is not to be offered about.
It was very far from my intention to wish to suggest anything of the kind, Miss Elliot.
It is not to be thought of.
Of course not.
No. I was wondering, Sir Walter...
I leave it to you, Shepherd. But not a word, not a whisper of this must get out. The matter must not be breathed beyond this circle. It must all remain a profound secret.
Do you think Mr. Shepherd is the right man for this business, Anne?
Oh, yes, he's quite sensible, really.
And his daughter, Mrs. Clay?
Well...
I believe she's been to stay with your sister again.
Yes, she has.
I wish Elizabeth had some of your judgment, Anne. I never have succeeded in persuading her to do something she does not want to do.
Well, she does know what she wants, that's true.
For instance, I've always thought it most unjust that she goes to London every spring, and you never do.
Oh, but I've never wanted to.
She will not listen to me. I do not like this friendship of hers for Mrs. Clay at all.
Mrs. Clay is a very clever woman. She knows how to please.
Well, I've hinted at everything I can, but it does no good. The friendship is quite out of place. The daughter of your father's agent.
Well, like other young ladies, she is considerably genteeler than her parents.
Perhaps, but she's still not a suitable companion for Elizabeth. I should like to see their intimacy broken off.
Well, it won't be, I'm afraid. Mrs. Clay is giving us even more of her company than she used to. More than I care for, to tell you the truth.
Elizabeth will go her own way. It's an unfortunate friendship, an affront to you, giving her confidence to a woman like that.
Oh, she amuses me very much with her affectation and her elegance. She is all superlatives and rapture, you know.
Worse and worse.
I don't mind for myself. But I am afraid for my father. Mrs. Clay has freckles, as he frequently points out, but she's young and good-looking.
And unscrupulous, I dare say. I'm very glad you are going to Bath. Elizabeth can hardly have Mrs. Clay to stay with her there.
Miss Elliot, I'm quite overcome. I do not know what to say. Your kindness.
What, Penelope, what?
Father, Miss Elliot has invited me to go to Bath with her.
Capital idea, Elizabeth, capital.
Well, Father, I shall need someone to help me when we first arrive.
Of course you will, my dear, of course.
Oh, Sir Walter, I do not know how to express my gratitude.
Yes, Penelope, yes.
Of course, we shall have to find a tenant first.
Hey, what?
I take leave to observe, Sir Walter, that the present juncture is much in our favour.
Well, it's time something was.
Oh, indeed it is, Sir Walter.
This new peace will be turning all our rich Navy officers ashore, Sir Walter, eager to spend their prize money. Many a noble fortune has been made in the war. Could not be a better time for having a choice of tenants. Very responsible tenants. If a rich admiral were to come in our way...
He'd be a very lucky man, that's all I have to say. Kellynch Hall will be a prize indeed. Greater than any he ever took, however many French ships he'd boarded, eh, Shepherd?
Oh, Sir Walter.
I presume to observe, Sir Walter, that I have a little knowledge of the gentlemen of the Navy. I'm free to confess that they have very liberal notions.
Well, however liberal their notions, Shepherd, there can be very few of them who wouldn't be surprised to find themselves in a house like this.
Oh, they would look round them and bless their good fortune, Sir Walter, without a doubt. But I do agree with my father. I do think a sailor would be a most desirable tenant.
Possibly, possibly.
I do believe, Father, that Mr. Shepherd must have a particular tenant in mind.
What, is this true, Shepherd?
Well, sir, I did happen to fall in with a likely...
Fall in with? Into what ocean?
Oh, it was at the quarter sessions in Taunton, Sir Walter. He is a native of Somerset, as a matter of fact, and I presume to observe one who has acquired a very handsome fortune.
Has he indeed?
What is this Navy officer's name, Shepherd?
He is called Admiral Croft, Miss Elliot.
Who?
Admiral Croft. He was in Taunton to look at some advertised places in the neighbourhood, but none of them suited him, and accidentally hearing...
Hey, what's that, Shepherd?
It proved impossible for Sir Walter Elliot's concerns to be kept entirely secret.
Yes. What happened then?
Understanding my connection with Kellynch, the Admiral introduced himself in order to make particular inquiries.
And what was their result?
We had a pretty long conference, Miss Elliot, and he expressed as strong an inclination for the place as a man who knew it only by description could feel.
Indeed.
He sounds a most eligible and responsible tenant, Miss Elliot.
But who is he?
I can answer for his being of a gentleman's family, Sir Walter, from the country, near Milverton.
Oh.
He is a rear admiral. He was at Trafalgar. He's been in the East Indies since.
Oh, the East Indies.
He's been stationed there for several years, I believe.
Then I take it for granted his face is as orange as the cuffs and capes of my livery.
He is a very hale, hearty, well-looking man, I assure you, Sir Walter. A little weather-beaten, to be sure, but not much.
Oh.
He's quite the gentleman, Miss Elliot, not likely to make the smallest difficulty about terms. He only wants a comfortable home, and to get into it as soon as possible.
I'm glad to hear it. I'm not particularly disposed to favour a tenant. The park will be open to him, of course. There can be very few Navy officers, or men of any other description, who can have had such a range.
Oh, indeed not, Sir Walter.
But as for gardens, well, I'm not fond of the idea of my shrubberies being always approachable. And I would recommend Miss Elliot to be on her guard with respect to her flower garden. I'm very little disposed to grant any tenant any extraordinary favour, I assure you.
In all these cases, if I may presume to say so, Sir Walter, there are established usages. Depend on me, no tenant shall have more than his just rights.
His just rights?
Does the Admiral have a family?
He is married, but without children, Miss Elliot, the very state to be wished for. A lady without family is the very best preserver of furniture in the world.
Yes. And, did you meet Mrs. Croft?
Oh, I did, and a very well-spoken, genteel, shrewd lady she seemed to be. She asked more questions about the house and terms and taxes than the Admiral himself. Furthermore, Sir Walter, she is not quite unconnected with this part of the country either.
Well, I never heard of him. Who is she?
She is sister to a gentleman who lived amongst us once, Sir Walter. She told me so herself. Sister to the gentleman who lived a few years back at Monkford. Bless me, what was his name? I've heard it quite recently, too. Penelope, my dear, can you help me? What was the name of the gentleman who lived at Monkford? He was one of Mrs. Croft's brothers. There were two of them, you remember.
Mrs. Croft's brothers? You mean Mr. Wentworth, I suppose?
Of course. Wentworth is the very name. He was curate for 2 or 3 years at Monkford, you remember, Sir Walter. Oh, some time back, came about the year 5, I take it. Wentworth.
Oh, aye, Mr. Wentworth, the curate of Monkford. You misled me by talking of gentlemen. I thought you meant some man of property. Mr. Wentworth is a nobody, quite unconnected, I remember. Nothing to do with the Strafford family. One wonders how the names of our nobility become so common.
Indeed, indeed.
The Admiral would be an unexceptionable tenant, Sir Walter. Wife, no children, handsome fortune. May I take leave to wait upon him and pursue the matter?
Do you have any objection, Elizabeth?
Well, no, Father. The sooner we find a tenant, the sooner we may move to Bath, and the happier I shall be, won't you, Penelope?
Oh, Miss Elliot, you know how much.
Well, I leave it to you, Shepherd, to arrange a day for Kellynch to be seen.
Very good, Sir Walter.
It will be a distressing one for us all. Admiral Croft. I let my house to Admiral Croft. Yes, Admiral Croft's my tenant. Well, certainly better than here, mister.
Well, they have been, and everything is settled. My father says Admiral Croft is one of the best-looking sailors he has ever met.
Not too brown or weather-beaten.
Not at all. He says that if only his own man could arrange the Admiral's hair, he wouldn't be ashamed of being seen with him anywhere.
Well, I'm delighted, my darling. So now you will all be off to Bath in September, I suppose.
My father and Elizabeth will. I'm going to stay with Mary at Uppercross.
Oh, why?
Because Mary requires me to go. She can't possibly do without me, she says. I'm glad that somebody thinks me useful. Elizabeth says that nobody will want me in Bath.
Not when she has Mrs. Clay, I suppose.
Exactly.
I wonder at it, Anne. I wonder at it very much.
It doesn't surprise me, I'm afraid.
Cannot Elizabeth see the danger?
Well, I've tried to warn her, but all I do is offend her.
Can't your father see the danger?
No, and that is what the danger is.
Elizabeth will go her own way.
Well, I am pleased that I'm being left behind anyway. I was dreading September in all the white glare of Bath.
Yes, hot weather does keep one in a continual state of inelegance.
Oh, and I love the sweet, sad autumnal months in the country.
Then after you've been to Mary, you must come to me, and then we can go to Bath together.
Oh, that is a kind thought.
No, it's selfish. I shall not be able to bear Kellynch without you, not at first. It will be very melancholy here.
Not at all. The Crofts are such agreeable people. You will like them so much. Of course, you know who Mrs. Croft's brother is?
I do not think so. Who?
Captain Frederick Wentworth.
Oh. My dear, that was a long time ago now.
7 years. But I have never met anyone who could compare with him.
Because you've hardly ever left Kellynch, that is why. Oh, you should have married Charles Musgrove. I told you so at the time.
Well, you mustn't tell me so again now. He's married Mary.
You would have been more suited to him than Mary.
I never even thought of it.
Oh, my dear, thousands of women have made your mistake. Captain Wentworth was the first young man to fall in love with you. That was his charm.
It had nothing to do with charm.
Not that I blame him. You were very attractive.
Was I? Well, I'm afraid I can't depend on ever blooming like that again now.
Of course you can. You're still very pretty.
Oh, no.
Nonsense. And I still believe you were quite right to break off the engagement. You were very young. He had no fortune or prospects. Your father disapproved. Oh, you were absolutely right.
I wouldn't have broken it off if you hadn't persuaded me. And my father didn't actually refuse his permission.
It was fortunate he did not have to. He'd have done nothing for you, you know.
It wouldn't have mattered.
My dear, you had no mother. I could not see you snatched away by a stranger without family or fortune. He had no connections even.
He didn't need them. He had ability.
Oh, Anne, you would have been sunk in weariness and anxiety. You'd have lost your youth.
Well, I have lost it.
Of course you have not. By not starting a family so young, you have kept your health, your figure, and your good looks. You were right to be persuaded.
I might have been happier if I hadn't been. None of the things you imagined would have happened. Captain Wentworth has been very successful. There was no real risk.
Anne, if you had not seen the dangers of the engagement yourself, you would not have broken it off.
I only broke it off because I thought that I might be a handicap to him, that I might hold him back in his career. He couldn't understand what I meant. I can hardly understand it myself now. But I could never have given him up if I hadn't thought that I was doing it for his sake.
My dear, you could never have given him up if you hadn't realized that you were not really in love with him.
Oh, no. It was because I loved him that I could give him up.
You thought so, of course. But you were not really in love. You never have really been in love.
I think I have.
You will see what I mean once you are in Bath. You will find some man who will love you so much that you have to love him back. And then you will know what love is.
That is not at all how I imagine my life in Bath.
I'm sure you will find someone and be happy. I cannot wish the past were different.
Well, I can. I do. Oh, don't think that I blame you. I don't even blame myself. But if someone in the same situation came to me for advice, that is not the advice I would give.
I only did what I felt your mother would have done.
I know you did.
You should not go on thinking about what happened so long ago.
Yes, it is a long time. 7 years. You know, Captain Wentworth has never married either.
This is a sad day, Shepherd. Elliot is leaving Kellynch and does not know when he may return. I imagine the tenantry notice it. No doubt the cottagers will be at their doors waiting to see me drive by. For some of them, it may be for the last time.
Oh, they feel it, Sir Walter, I assure you. They feel it most strongly.
I thought as much. They will not feel the same, I think, when Admiral Croft leaves Kellynch.
Oh, indeed not, Sir Walter. He is only a tenant. Your tenant.
He is a remarkably fortunate gentleman.
And not ill-looking for a sailor. Though he is old. Everyone I know seems to be growing old. Anne's haggard, Mary coarse, every face in the neighbourhood worsting. And the way the crow's foot increases so rapidly about Lady Russell's temples is a great distress to me. Only Elizabeth seems to bloom as ever amidst the wreckage of everyone else.
Oh, well, Sir Walter, Miss Elliot blooms indeed. But we must not say everyone else, must we, Father?
Oh, indeed not, Penelope.
Well, perhaps not. Perhaps not everyone. Ah, there you all are. Have you finished your farewells?
Yes, thank you, Father. I hope we haven't delayed you. There was no need.
We must be off. The cottagers are waiting.
Come, Penelope.
Bye. Bye. Goodbye, Lady Russell.
Goodbye, Walter. Take time about finding a house, won't you?
Yes.
Goodbye, Father. I hope you find somewhere comfortable.
Thank you, thank you. Goodbye, goodbye. Come along, Penelope. Oh, Shepherd. I shall sit outside going through the village. I don't want to disappoint the tenantry.
Of course not, Sir Walter. Very well thought of.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, Walter.
Now that we've got them off, we can take you to Mary's.
Goodbye, Lady Russell, and thank you.
Goodbye, my dear.
So you've come at last? I was beginning to think I'd never see you. Oh, Anne, I'm so ill I can hardly speak. I haven't seen a creature the whole morning.
Oh, Mary, I am sorry. You seemed so well when you wrote.
Well, I made the best of it, as I always do. But I was very far from well at the time. I don't think I've ever been so ill as I am this morning.
Oh, dear me.
Well, certainly not well enough to be left alone. What if I was suddenly seized in some dreadful way and not able to ring the bell? So Lady Russell wouldn't get out. I don't think she's been in this house 3 times all summer.
She sent you her love, Mary. Where's Charles?
Oh, out shooting as usual. I haven't seen him since 7 o'clock this morning. He would go, though I told him how ill I was. He said he wouldn't be long, and now it's almost 1. Look.
Well, he must have had good sport, then.
Anne, I do believe that if Charles were to see me dying, he wouldn't believe there was anything the matter with me. You might try and persuade him while you're here that I really am very ill. Much worse than I ever admit. I assure you, I haven't seen a soul this whole long morning.
But haven't you had your little boys with you?
Oh, only as long as I could bear their noise.
Well, you will soon be better now. You know I always cure you. How are your neighbours at the great house?
I can't tell you I haven't seen one of them this morning. Oh, except Mr. Musgrove. And he only spoke at the window without getting off his horse. I told him how ill I was, but none of them's been to see me. The Miss Musgroves never put themselves out of their way, you know.
Well, it's early yet. They may be here at any moment.
Oh, I don't want them, I assure you. They laugh and talk much too much for me. Oh, Anne, I'm so very unwell. It was most unkind of you not to come on Thursday.
But, Mary, you wrote and said that you were in no hurry for me.
Oh, well. But you haven't asked me one word about our dinner at the pools yesterday.
But did you go? I thought you had been too ill for a party.
Oh, yes, I went. I was very well yesterday. There was nothing at all the matter till this morning. It would have been very odd if I hadn't gone.
I hope you enjoyed yourself.
Oh, it was nothing remarkable. One always knows beforehand what the dinner will be and who will be there. It's so uncomfortable not having a carriage of our own. Mr. and Mrs. Musgrove took me, and we were so crowded. Oh, they're both so very large, and they take up so much room. And Mr. Musgrove always sits forward. So I was crowded into the back seat with Henrietta and Louisa. I think I'm ill today because of it.
I'm looking forward to seeing all the Musgroves again.
Well, you won't go and call on them till they've been to see you.
Oh, Mary, I wouldn't dream of standing upon ceremony with the Musgroves.
Yes, but they ought to call on you. No, they ought to feel what is due to you as my sister. You know, Mrs. Musgrove often fails to give me my due precedence when we dine at the great house.
Well, I'm sure it is only because she thinks of you as one of the family.
But I don't see why I should be considered so much at home as to lose my place, Anne.
Oh, Charles, what a lovely white horse. Can you see it? Why don't you go and have a closer look? And take little Walter with you. Take him by the hand. What a very pretty bonnet you're wearing.
I'm so glad you've come, Anne. Mary looks better already.
Well, I'm good for her, Charles.
I do wish you could persuade her not to be always imagining herself ill.
I'll try.
There's never anything really the matter with her, you know. The boys are so ill-behaved. I could manage them perfectly well if only Mary wouldn't keep interfering.
Well, I dare say...
Excuse me, I'd better have a word with young Charles. Go on, Walter, after it. Go on. You can run faster than that. Go on, man.
Oh, they're so unmanageable, Anne. They do me more harm than good. Little Charles doesn't listen to a word I say, and Walter's getting quite as bad. Well, Charles spoils them so. Can't get them under any sort of control.
Does he?
Oh, yes. You know, I hate bringing them here, but Mrs. Musgrove's always wanting to see them.
But why, Mary? She is their grandmother.
Oh, she will indulge them so, and give them so much trash and sweet things. They come back sick and cross for the rest of the day.
Well, it's only because she's so fond of them, I expect.
Oh, Anne.
What are you doing? Come along.
I'm afraid it's no more than I expected, really.
Oh, Miss Anne, I cannot help wishing Mrs. Charles had a little of your method with those children. They're quite different creatures with you.
Well, I am their aunt. Children always behave better with aunts.
But in general, they are so spoiled. They are as fine, healthy creatures as ever were seen, poor little dears. And without partiality. But Mrs. Charles has no more idea how to treat them than... Oh, bless me, how troublesome they are.
Well, they are still very young, Mrs. Musgrove.
Ah, yes, but I assure you, Miss Anne, it prevents my wishing to see them at this house as often as I otherwise should. I believe Mrs. Charles is not quite pleased with my not inviting them oftener.
Oh, she has not said that to me.
It is very bad to have children with one that one is always having to check. Don't do this and don't do that. One can only keep them in tolerable order by giving them more cake than is good for them.
So, Miss Anne, Sir Walter and your sister are gone to Bath. Have you any idea where they'll settle?
Well, they're going to look about them before they decide, Mr. Musgrove.
Very wise, very wise. Well, here we are at Michaelmas again.
Yes, Mr. Musgrove, so we are.
Isn't it today the Crofts were coming to Kellynch?
Yes, it is.
Oh, Anne had quite forgotten. Oh, I'm so glad I didn't remember before. Makes me feel very sad and low.
Oh, Mary. Anne, do come and play and cheer us up.
Oh, why don't you play, Louisa? You're so good.
Oh, but I want to dance, Father. You will come and play, won't you, Anne?
Yes, of course I will.
There. Play that.
Oh, well done, Miss Anne, well done. Lord bless you, how those little fingers of yours do fly about.
It was very good of you to call on us so soon after our arrival, Mrs. Musgrove. It must have been very agitating finding strangers in your old home.
Well, I was very upset, of course, Admiral Croft. Thinking about it made me quite ill.
Well, you should have followed your sister's example and stayed at home.
It was nothing to her compared to what it was to me. No, the only reason she didn't come was that there wasn't enough room in the carriage.
Oh, I thought perhaps as she had never left home, and you, of course, had to come here.
Oh, no, she doesn't suffer half as much as I do, I assure you. She has a very strong constitution. But I'm almost always rather ill.
I'm so sorry we missed Mr. Musgrove this morning.
Oh, he spends his whole time shooting, I'm afraid.
Oh, I see.
I hope you're settling in happily at Kellynch.
We are, very happily. Must have been very hard for you to give up that beautiful house. Everything about it must be so precious to you.
Yes, it is.
Well, you needn't be afraid that we shall alter anything.
Oh, but you must make all the changes you want.
Oh, there won't be many, I assure you. You need not fear to come with your sister the next time she calls on us.
Oh, no, really, I only didn't come because there was no room for me in the carriage. Although I must admit I wasn't altogether sorry.
Of course. I understand it perfectly. Your beloved home made over to strangers. Can't be easy.
No, it isn't. But I'm glad it is you who have taken it.
Oh.
How very kind. Of course, the Admiral and I have had many homes. We're quite used to giving them up.
I suppose that is inevitable with the Navy.
Well, yes, it is. Though the Navy has its douceur, you know, to make up for its privations.
Oh, yes, I know.
It's a good life. Oh, by the by, your sister was telling me it's you who knew my brother when he was living down here.
Yes, it was.
Perhaps you haven't heard that he's married now.
No, I haven't.
Yes, to a Shropshire girl. He went to Shropshire, you know, after he was curate at Monkford. He's got a very good parish now.
Has he? I'm delighted to hear it.
So are we. You know, Mrs. Croft has another brother. It's time he married and settled down too, Sophie.
Yes, we're hoping he'll be here to stay with us soon.
I dare say you know him by name, Mrs. Musgrove. Captain Wentworth.
Well, now that the war's over, we're hoping he can come for a long visit.
Yes, he'd better spend this war's prize money before the next war starts.
Do you remember Mr. Wentworth, Anne? I don't think I knew him or his brother.
Yes, I knew them both slightly. It was while you were still at school.
Yes, it must be some years ago now.
7. I believe it was.
Yes, it was while we were in the Bermudas, Sophie.
Well, I hope we shall have the pleasure of meeting your brother, Mrs. Croft. There are so few distinguished families in this neighbourhood. Does he like shooting?
Yes, he likes to take out a gun, I think.
Then he must come and shoot with Charles.
Oh, very kind.
Goodbye, thank you so much.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, Mrs. Musgrove. Come on, boy. Away we go. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on.
A few weeks, and he may be walking here.
Well, Anne, what does Lady Russell have to say?
Nothing very much, except that she's enjoying herself. She sends you her love.
I do think she's odd going away for 2 months just as the Crofts come to Kellynch.
Do you? I understand it, I think.
So do I. She feels your father's humiliation, Mary.
Charles!
Well, call it what you like, but I think Sir Walter himself thinks it's humiliating to have to let Kellynch and go to Bath.
Of course he doesn't, Charles. Oh, Louisa, I hope you haven't come to tell us the others aren't coming. That will be too bad.
No, I've come on ahead to make more room in the carriage, that's all. Mamma wanted to bring the harp, you see.
The harp? Isn't our pianoforte good enough for her?
Well, Papa and Mamma are in very low spirits this evening, especially Mamma.
Oh, dear. Why?
She's been thinking about poor Richard.
Oh, I see. You knew my brother Dick, Anne, didn't you?
Well, of course she did, but I don't see what he has to do with the harp.
Well, we all thought it would be best. It seems to amuse Mamma more than the pianoforte.
But why has she suddenly started thinking about Dick?
Well, Admiral and Mrs. Croft happened to mention that her brother, Captain Wentworth, has just returned to England. Or paid off or something. Anyway, he's coming to visit them almost at once.
Louisa, I still fail to see any connection with Dick.
Well, unluckily, it came into Mamma's head after the Crofts had gone that Wentworth, or something very like it, was the name of poor Richard's captain at one time.
Oh, I do believe it was.
I don't know when or where, but a long time before he died, poor fellow. And so Mamma got out his letters and things to look them over, and found that it was Wentworth. And now she's perfectly sure that this must be the same man, and her head is full of nothing but him and poor Richard.
Oh, your poor mother.
You know, Dick only ever wrote 2 proper letters all the time he was in the Navy. And I do believe it was a Captain Wentworth who made him write them. What ship was Dick midshipman on then, Louisa? Do you remember?
It was the Laconia.
That's right, the Laconia.
Mrs. Croft's brother did command the Laconia for a while.
Then it must be.
Well, he must certainly have been a remarkable captain if he got Dick to write proper letters. Usually, he only wrote home for money.
Mary.
Come on, my dear.
Thank you. Oh, dear.
Now, have a care, George. Have a care.
Never you mind, sir. Leave it to me.
Are you sure?
You leave it to me, miss.
Oh.
Come in, come in. It was good of you to come, Mother.
Your poor brother. Come along, Mamma.
You go along in, Father. I'll give George a hand with the harp.
That'd be very good of you, Charles.
Mamma, come in and sit down and you'll soon feel much better.
Good evening, Mrs. Musgrove.
That's right, Mamma. Sit by Anne.
How are you, Mrs. Musgrove?
Oh, thank you, Miss Anne. I am not too well. I am a little low.
I'm so sorry. Louisa's just been telling us.
Poor Richard.
I'm afraid, Mary, we're not in very good spirits.
Just 2 years ago. Just 2 years.
Where do you want it, Mary?
Oh, anywhere you choose. The evening must be given up to
Here,
it.
George.
Not there, Charles, in everyone's way.
Well, where then?
Over there.
Thank you, George.
That's all right, sir.
Thank you, George.
Mamma, Anne says that Mrs. Croft's brother was once captain of the Laconia.
Oh, then it must be he.
Yes, I thought it might turn out to be the same one. After all, there can't be so very many Captain Wentworths.
You know, Miss Anne, we met him once or twice when we came back from Clifton. Was it 7 years ago?
How did you know that Captain Wentworth was captain of the Laconia?
It is all in the Navy list, Henrietta.
Oh. Well, do we have a Navy list, Papa?
No, my dear, I don't believe we have.
Well, then we must get one at once. We can't have Captain Wentworth thinking we're ignorant.
Poor Richard. He was on the Laconia for 6 months, Miss Anne, and spoke so well of his captain. I was reading over his letters this afternoon. He called him a fine, dashing fellow, but said he was too particular about making him go to the schoolmaster. Only Richard spelt two, T-W-O.
He was never a good scholar.
He was never good at anything.
Don't distress yourself, Mother. Play something, Henrietta.
Oh, what pretty music. Well played, Henrietta. Well played.
I had quite forgotten about Captain Wentworth until Mrs. Croft mentioned him this afternoon. Her other brother was curate of Monkford. Do you remember either of them, Miss Anne?
Yes, I knew them both slightly.
Oh, it will be a change to have so many Navy officers in the district.
Well, Louisa, there will be 2.
2 more than before. I wonder what age Captain Wentworth is.
Quite old, I expect. He's a captain.
I believe he is 31.
Well, quite.
How clever Henrietta is to play so well. Wonder if Captain Wentworth likes music.
Oh, I hope he likes dancing. We must give a ball. Henrietta, I can hardly wait for him to arrive.
Welcome, my dear.
Waiter.
I'd forgotten what a fine piece of country this was. You were very wise to choose Killeen, Sophie.
Well, now that you're ashore, Frederick, it's time you found somewhere and settled down yourself.
Yes. I wouldn't mind a house in the country.
And someone to share it with him, I dare say.
Well, here I am quite ready to make a foolish match. I shall marry as soon as I'm properly tempted.
Perhaps one of the Miss Musgroves may catch your eye.
Anybody between 15 and 30 may have me for the asking. A little beauty, a few smiles, a few compliments to the Navy, and I'm a lost man.
You must keep a cool head about it, Frederick.
No, Sophie, I shall not. I'm a sailor. I've had no society among women to make me nice. My heart may be caught by any pleasing young woman who comes my way.
Have you no special requirements? No features that particularly recommend themselves to you in a woman?
Well, yes, I want a strong mind with sweetness of manner.
Is that all?
It's not asking much.
No, but this is the woman I want. I shall, of course, put up with something a little inferior, but it must not be much.
You are a fool, Frederick.
Well, if I'm a fool, then I shall be a fool indeed. I have thought about marriage more than most men.
Have you indeed? And where, pray, have you done it? On board ship?
There, and ashore.
I do not believe he has thought about it at all, Sophia.
Neither do I.
But I have, you know. I have.
Poor Richard, indeed. Young Master Musgrove was nothing but a thick-headed, unfeeling, unprofitable dick. He was moved about from ship to ship so much, Anne, because no captain would keep him.
That may be true, Mary, but I expect his mother loved him all the same.
Well, she does now when she misremembers him. But he was a very troublesome boy. Well, they sent him to sea because he was so stupid and unmanageable on land. Mrs. Musgrove has forgotten that, of course.
She may still have been fond of him.
Oh, Anne, if it wasn't that Dick was Charles's brother, I would have... Charles, where have you been?
Good Lord, haven't you finished breakfast yet? Louisa and Henrietta will be here in a minute.
Why?
They're bringing Captain Wentworth.
Oh, of course, your shooting party.
Oh, here they come. Look, they didn't give us much time.
Oh, well, quickly. We can't receive Captain Wentworth here over the breakfast things.
I don't expect Mary's finished breakfast yet.
You're quite wrong. She's in the drawing room.
I hope it isn't inconvenient.
Of course not. Of course not. Come in.
Good morning. Good morning, Captain Wentworth.
Good morning, Mrs. Musgrove.
How very good of you to call.
I hope I'm not in the way at all.
Oh, of course not. I think you know my sister Anne.
A very charming house, Mrs. Musgrove.
It was a farmhouse, you know. My father did it over for us when we were married.
Is that so?
Do you like this new style of architecture, Captain Wentworth?
Very much, yes. It's very light and pleasant. Of course, the great house is more substantial.
Oh, I do wish Papa would modernise our house.
Oh, I can't agree. It would be a pity to alter something so old and beautiful.
Quite. I think my father is right to resist my sister's, clamour for modernisation.
Oh, you always agree with him, Charles.
Not always. But why are we talking about architecture when we could be out shooting? We must be on our way.
Oh, do wait a little longer, Charles.
No, we must be off. Come on, come on.
We shall see you again very soon.
It is over. It is over. The worst is over. I have seen him again after 8 years. It is almost a third of my life. It seems little more than nothing.
Oh, isn't he charming, Anne? But didn't I tell you how delightful he is?
Yes, Mary, you did.
So courteous and thoughtful. Oh, I can hardly wait for this evening. But though he was so attentive to me, he wasn't very gallant by you, Anne.
No? He seemed gallant enough to me.
Henrietta asked him what he thought of you, and he said you were so altered he wouldn't have known you again.
Oh.
He's altered beyond his knowledge. I don't call that very gallant.
He has not altered. I would have known him anywhere. Or if he has changed, it is only to his advantage. He seemed the same Mr. Wentworth to me.
And a very agreeable one, too.
Oh, yes. He is that, certainly.
Do you mean there are cooks on board ship, Captain Wentworth?
Oh, no, Miss Louisa.
But surely you must have
No. No food, no cooks to dress it, no servants to wait, nothing. We do not even have knives and forks. There's no need for them, you see.
Oh, you're mocking us, I know it.
No, the life is very hard. We eat only when we put into some port.
But supposing... Oh, he is mocking us, Henrietta.
Not at all, I assure you. When we sailors go ashore, we eat as much as possible, because we never know when we'll have the chance to eat again.
Oh, Miss Anne, if it had pleased heaven to spare my poor son, I dare say he would have been just like Captain Wentworth by now.
I dare say he would, Mrs. Musgrove.
He was such a promising lad, and so good-natured.
Here we are, Henrietta. If Captain Wentworth won't be serious with us, we can find out for ourselves what ships he has commanded.
Well, the first was the asp, I remember. Look up the asp. Asp.
You won't find her in the Navy list.
What?
She was quite worn out. She's been broken up. I was the last man to command her.
Oh. Why?
Oh, she was barely fit for service even when I had her. Afterwards, they said she was good for home service for a year or two, but that was all.
Barely fit for service?
And yet you were put in command of her? How was that?
Oh, the Admiralty amuse themselves now and again by sending a few hundred men to sea in an unseaworthy ship.
What?
Well, they have a great many men to find ships for, you know. And thousands of them might just as well go to the bottom as not.
Oh,
It is impossible for the Admiralty to distinguish the few who might be missed.
For what stuff these young fellows talk. Never was a better sloop than the Asp in her day.
Oh, but Admiral, Captain Wentworth says that she was barely fit for service.
Nonsense. For an old-built sloop, you would never see her equal. He was the lucky fellow to get her.
Surely if she was barely fit for
Ah, he knows very well there must have been 20 better men than he applying for her at the same time. He was a lucky fellow to get anything.
But there, Captain Wentworth.
I felt my luck, Admiral, I assure you. I was as well pleased with my appointment as you could wish. That was the year 6. I was very anxious at that time to be at sea. Very anxious indeed. I wanted to be doing something.
To be sure you did. What would a young fellow like you do ashore for half a year together? If a man has no wife, he soon wants to be afloat again.
Oh, but you must have been vexed, Captain Wentworth, when you arrived on the Asp and found what an old thing they'd given you.
Oh, she was a dear old asp to me. She did what I wanted, and I knew she would.
What was that?
Well, I knew that we should either go to the bottom together, or she'd be the making of me.
And she was.
Oh, yes. I never had 2 days foul weather all the time I was at sea with her. And after taking enough privateers for it to be very entertaining, I had the good luck on my passage home the next autumn to fall in with the very French frigate I wanted.
So you took her?
Yes, and I brought her into Plymouth. Now, here's another instance of good luck. We had not been in the Sound 6 hours when a gale came up, which lasted 4 days and nights. Would have done for poor old Asp in half the time.
How terrifying.
Yes, 24 hours later, and I should have been no more than gallant Captain Wentworth in a small paragraph in the corner of a newspaper. Nobody would have thought much of me being lost in only a sloop.
And so then I suppose he went away to Laconia, and there he met with my poor boy. Charles, do tell Captain Wentworth he need not be afraid of mentioning poor Dick in front of me. It would be rather a pleasure to hear him talked of by such a good friend.
Now the Laconia, Louisa, look up the Laconia.
Here, let me see if I can find her for you.
Oh, do, please.
Here we are. Laconia, 38 guns, now out of commission. She was one of the best friends a man ever had, too.
I'm sure, sir, it was a lucky day for us when you were put captain into that ship. We shall never forget what you did.
My brother. And Mamma is thinking of poor Richard.
Would have been a happy thing if he'd never left you. I assure you, Captain Wentworth, we are only sorry he ever left you.
Ah, yes, Mrs. Musgrove. Your son, Richard. My midshipman.
He improved so much while you were his captain. You were such a good influence on him.
Oh, you give me more credit than is my due, I assure you.
You know, Frederick, if you'd been a week later at Lisbon last spring, you would have been asked to give a passage to Lady Mary Grierson and her daughters.
Oh, would I? Then I'm glad I was not a week later.
What? Are you so ungallant, then?
I hope not. But I would never willingly allow any ladies on board any ship of mine, except for a ball or a few hours' visit.
Oh, but Captain Wentworth, why? Do you hate ladies so much?
On the contrary, Miss Musgrove. It's simply that I feel it is not possible, whatever one's efforts and for all one's sacrifices, to make accommodations on board ships suitable for women.
Frederick!
Well, it's true.
Pooh, it's all idle refinement. Women can be as comfortable on board ship as in the best house in England.
Of course they can't, Sophie.
I believe believe I've lived on board ship as much as most women. I know nothing superior to the accommodations of a man-of-war.
Really, Mrs. Croft?
Yes, I declare I have no comfort or indulgence about me, even at Kellynch Hall, beyond what I've always had in most of the ships I've lived in.
And how many have you lived in, Mrs. Croft?
5 altogether. I hate to hear Frederick talking like a fine gentleman, and as if women were all fine ladies instead of rational creatures. We none of us expects to be on smooth waters all our days.
Indeed not, ma'am, indeed not.
Now, my dear, when Frederick has a wife, he will sing a different tune.
Yes, yes, we shall see about him then.
When he is married, and if we have the good luck to live through another war, we shall see him do as you and I, Sophia, and a great many others have done. He will be very thankful to anyone who brings him his wife.
Aye, he will.
Well, now I have done. Once married people begin to attack me with, oh, you will think differently when you are married, I can only say, no, I shall not. And when they say, yes, you will, there's an end of it.
What a great traveller you must have been, ma'am. Pretty well, ma'am, in the 15 years of my marriage. Though many women have done more.
Oh,
I've crossed the Atlantic 4 times.
Oh, bless me.
And I've been to the East Indies and back again once, but only once. Besides being in different places about home, Cork and Lisbon and Gibraltar.
Gibraltar.
But I never went beyond the Straits, and I've never been to the West Indies. We do not call Bermuda and Bahama the West Indies, you know.
Oh, no.
And I can assure you, ma'am, that nothing could exceed the accommodations of a man-of-war. I speak, you know, of the higher rates.
Oh, yes, of course, the higher one.
When you come to a frigate, of course, you are more confined, though any reasonable woman may be perfectly happy in one.
I'm sure she may.
I can safely say that the happiest part of my life has been spent on board ship. As long as we were together, ma'am, nothing ever ailed me, and I never met with the smallest inconvenience.
Aye, to be sure. Oh, yes, indeed. I'm quite of your opinion, ma'am.
Anyone can see that yours has been a very happy marriage, Mrs. Croft.
So long as I've been with the Admiral, I've not complained.
There is nothing so bad as separation, ma'am. I'm quite of your opinion. I know what it is. But Mr. Musgrove always attends the assizes. And I'm so glad when they're over and he's safe back again.
What was that? What did you say, my dear?
I'm just telling Mrs. Croft how glad I am when you come back from the assizes, my dear.
Yes, I do believe you are, my dear.
Papa, Papa, may we dance now?
A dance? Why, yes, I'm sure we'd all enjoy watching you dance, Henrietta.
I'm going to play for you.
Oh, would you, Anne?
Yes, of course.
Dancing. We're going to have a ball, a little private ball.
Miss Anne is so kind. She always plays for my daughters.
She does not say very much.
She's usually silent.
Perhaps her eloquence lies in her fingers. I like musical people.
So do I. I sometimes think unmusical people are capable of every sort of wickedness. It should be a crime to have no ear.
To be sure, Admiral, I'm quite of your opinion. It should be, it should be.
Miss Musgrove, may I have the pleasure of a dance with you?
Yes, Captain Wentworth, you may. Oh. Indeed, you shall have the first one. Oh, but I claim the second.
So I shall have to make do with the third, I suppose.
Mary, you are not an unmarried girl.
I don't see what difference that need make in a family party.
Well, I claim my precedence for the first dance, my love. You can fight over Captain Wentworth with Louisa afterwards.
Does Miss Elliot know the dance?
Oh, no. No, she's quite given up dancing. She'd rather play.
I see.
Anne never tires of playing for us, you know.
Not so ungallant as he likes to pretend.
No, indeed, ma'am.
What Frederick needs is a wife.
Exactly.
Yes.
Now it is my turn with you, Captain Wentworth.
Oh, please, remember, I'm only a sailor. You must not dance me off my feet.
Play us that tune you mentioned. Or perhaps Anne knows it.
There. No.
That's it. Or something like it, at least.
Do you know that tune, Anne?
No, I'm afraid I don't.
I beg your pardon, madam. This is your seat.
Not at all, sir.
Oh, do play it again. I'm sure Anne will know it.
No. It is our turn to dance.
Oh, here's a ball. Oh, well done. Very well done. On with the ball.
What do they say?
My father is very well. They have taken a house in Camden Place.
Oh, but that's a very good part of Bath. Very good indeed.
It's all hills, Bath.
It sounds a delightful house. And big. You will be able to stay there, Charles.
Does Elizabeth say so?
Huh? Of course not. She doesn't need to.
I do hope it isn't too expensive.
Huh.
Oh, they've been invited out I don't know how many times already. And to the most fashionable houses, Anne. Charles, we really must go to Bath this winter.
I wish you could go instead of me. I hate fashionable parties.
Oh? Does that mean you hated our little party last night?
No, Mary. That was a family party. I like family parties.
It's quite fashionable enough for Captain Wentworth.
What a pleasant man he is.
Yes. That's what Henrietta thinks.
You know, I believe he made £20,000 out of the war.
There's no problem about a fortune.
And there's every chance of his making some more if there's another war. I can't believe there's any officer in the Navy more likely to distinguish himself.
No.
He'd be a capital match for Louisa.
Henrietta. He prefers Henrietta. Oh, but dear me, suppose he were to rise to very great honours. Well, suppose he should ever be made a baronet. Henrietta would take place of me then, and she wouldn't dislike that. Sir Frederick and Lady Wentworth. Of course, it would only be a new creation.
My father would hardly approve.
No. I never think much of your new creations myself.
Oh, Louisa wouldn't mind how new it was.
Charles, how many times do I have to tell you he prefers Henrietta?
She does seem to have lost interest in Charles Hayter, I grant you.
Oh, thank goodness. Considering the alliances which the Musgroves have made already, she's no right to go throwing herself away on a hater.
Oh, Cousin Charles is a very good fellow. You shouldn't say that.
But he is a scholar and a gentleman, Mary.
Well, he's more cultivated than the rest of his family, I grant you. He could hardly not be. No young girl has the right to choose someone who is disagreeable to the senior branch of her family.
Whatever do you mean, Mary?
I mean that Henrietta would be giving bad connections to those who aren't used to her.
Oh, do you indeed?
Yes, I do. Well, who is Charles Hayter, pray? Nothing but a country curate. Most improper match for a Miss Musgrove of Uppercross.
All churchmen do have to start as curates, you know.
Well, I very much hope that Captain Wentworth will soon put all thoughts of churchmen quite out of her head. In fact, I'm sure he's done so already.
Well, I think he prefers Louisa.
Charles, why must you always be so contrary? Of course he prefers Henrietta.
Well, whichever it is. If there's so much uncertainty, I think he should declare himself. He shouldn't hurt anyone's feelings.
I managed to have another word with Dr. Shirley this morning, Henrietta.
Oh, yes, Charles?
I let him know again how very much I hope to become his curate.
Oh, did you?
I told him how very inconvenient it is for me to be where I am now. It is very inconvenient, you know.
Yes.
And I pointed out that it would be a very great advantage for me to be at Uppercross. Henrietta, you don't seem very interested.
What?
I said you don't seem very interested in what I said to Dr. Shirley.
Of course I am, Charles. But go on.
He is very infirm, you know. He should have a curate. After all, he has been rector here for more than 40 years. It's a very long time. And in spite of his zeal, he really cannot perform his duties as he should any longer.
Oh, no. Oh, is that him, Louisa? Oh, no. Not yet.
Henrietta?
Yes?
Who are you waiting for?
Oh, Captain Wentworth.
Do you want to know what Dr. Shirley said or not?
But of course I do.
Well, he confirmed his promise that I am to have the curacy.
Well, I'm very glad indeed, Charles, of course. But I always thought you'd have it.
You didn't seem so sure last time we talked about it.
But I thought we were all sure. Well, it didn't seem to me there was any... Well, I mean, we know Dr. Shirley must have a curate, and you had got his promise.
Well,
Was
yes,
that him,
but...
Louisa?
Still no sign.
Henrietta?
I wonder where he can be.
Hello? Good morning, Henrietta.
Have Charles and Captain Wentworth gone shooting?
Yes, they went about an hour ago. Why?
Oh, well, since we're left all alone, and it's such a very fine day for November, we thought we should go for a long walk.
What a very good idea.
We wondered if you'd like to come, Anne.
And not me.
Oh, well, we know you don't usually like going for long walks, Mary.
I don't know what you mean. I'm a very good walker.
Are you sure?
Yes, I should like to join you very much indeed. I'm very fond of a long walk.
You didn't used to be, Mary.
Oh, look, there's Charles and Captain Wentworth.
Well, we'd better go and get ready. I can't imagine why they should suppose I wouldn't enjoy a long walk. Everybody is always supposing I'm not a good walker.
Well, that is an impression you sometimes give them.
I can't think how.
Hello, good morning.
We thought you'd all gone shooting.
We did go, yes, but we took this useless young dog with us and... Here, boy, heel! I said heel!
I'm afraid Prince spoiled our sport.
Heel!
Oh, what a shame.
Will you heel, I said? Yes, there were plenty of birds about, too.
Well, it doesn't matter. The birds will still be there tomorrow. And young dogs have to learn.
Where were you going? Have you been visiting Mary and Anne?
We came to take them for a long walk with us.
A walk? Capital, may we come too?
Oh, do, please. We should like that. You'll come too, I hope, Captain Wentworth.
Well, since there's to be no more shooting, I should enjoy it very much. If you'll have me, that is.
Oh, good.
Well, we'll just put our guns inside and then we can be off.
Charles, you're back very early.
Just in time to join you, though.
Good morning.
Good morning, Captain Wentworth. How very nice to see you. Have you had a pleasant morning?
Oh, look. Oh, do look at the colours in the wood there. Oh, perfect.
Very fine. Beautiful.
Prince? Prince? Prince, where are you? Here, boy. Prince? Prince? Prince?
Now see the fading, many-coloured woods. Shade deepening over shade. The country round in brown. A crowded umbrage, dusk and dun of every hue, from wan declining green to sooty dark.
Hmm? Oh, yes. Poetry, I suppose. So pretty.
Oh, it's beautiful, Anne. What is it?
It's Thomson from his autumn.
All these poets seem to write about the autumn. I can't think why.
It's all the ones worth reading, do I think?
Can you go on with it?
Oh, I am nothing but quotations.
Oh, look, Captain Wentworth and Louisa are getting ahead of us. Now, we must hurry along. Waste our time on poetry.
Prince, Prince, come on, boy. Come on. Here, boy.
Oh, do recite some more, Anne.
I wonder what's appropriate. Oh, I know. Then is the time for those whom wisdom and whom nature charm to steal themselves from the degenerate crowd and soar above this little scene of things, to tread low-thoughted vice beneath their feet, to soothe the throbbing passions into peace, and woo lone quiet in the silent walks.
It's perfect. Perfect. Soar above this little scene of things. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Soothe the throbbing passions into peace, and woo lone quiet in the silent walks.
Wentworth, we're waiting for you to show some gallantry here.
Oh, it will not be gallantry, Miss Louisa. It will be a pleasure.
Oh, so gallantry's not pleasant.
Oh, you do me wrong. You do me wrong.
Careful, my dear.
Quite all right, thank you, Charles.
Thank you, sir. Very gallant, I'm sure.
Very pleasant, I assure you, ma'am.
Oh, I cannot get down. I am stuck. I am caught here forever.
Louisa?
I think it may be possible to get you down, if you will let me help you.
No, I'm past human help. But there's nothing else for it. I shall have to jump.
Jump, then, and I will catch you.
I must do it again.
Louisa!
I'm sure there'll be several other styles for you to practice your jumping from, Louisa.
Bang! Bang! Right and a left.
Here's Winthrop. Oh, I'd no idea. Well, now, I think we'd better turn back. I'm exceedingly tired.
Oh, certainly not.
I told you, this is where Cousin Charles lives.
Aha.
I think we should, Henrietta, don't you?
Well, yes, if you're so very tired.
No, no.
Henrietta.
Well, now we're here, I shall go and visit my Aunt Hayter. You'll come too, I hope, Mary.
No, Charles, I shall not.
I think you should.
There is no need to pay a call on someone simply because one can see his house. Otherwise, one would do nothing but pay calls all day long.
Mary, I should like you to come with me.
Well, I shall not, Charles.
Am I to go alone, then?
No. Henrietta would like to come with you.
Oh, good. Yes, good.
Well, I should just like to see my aunt.
We'll just go down the hill for a few minutes. We won't be long.
I hope not. It's unpleasant having such connections. But I assure you, I've never been in the house more than twice in my life. Well,
I hope everyone will be happy now.
Do you, Louisa? And how long do you think they'll be being happy?
Oh, long enough for us to do some nutting anyway. Captain Wentworth, I shall need your arms.
There you go. Prince.
I wouldn't be prevented from doing something I wanted to do, and which I knew to be right, by the airs of someone like that. Or of anyone else, I may say. Mary had no right to interfere.
Indeed, she did not.
That branch, please. Henrietta's always giving in to Mary. I have no intentions of ever being so easily persuaded myself. When my mind is made up, it is made up. But Henrietta...
You think she really would have turned back if you hadn't persuaded her?
Oh, I'm almost ashamed to say it. But yes.
Then she was lucky to have a mind as firm as yours at hand. Woe betide him and her if something more important comes up.
Whatever do you mean?
I mean that life is likely to provide Henrietta with sterner tests than this. And if she hasn't the strength of purpose to resist idle interference now, well...
Well,
I think you're fortunate to have the firmer character.
do you? Oh, do you really?
Oh, yes. You can't rely on people who change their minds, you see. You can't trust them. There's no happiness without trust. If you want to be happy, you must be firm. Here's a nut for an example. Beautiful, glossy nut. Blessed with original strength, which has survived all the storms of autumn. Not a weak spot, not a puncture anywhere. This nut, whilst many of its brethren have fallen and been trodden underfoot, still possesses all the happiness that a hazelnut may be supposed capable of. My first wish for everyone I care for is that he or she should be firm. So if you, Louisa Musgrove, want to be beautiful and happy in the November of your life, you'll cherish all your present strength of mind.
Of course, Mary is good-natured enough in many respects.
Oh, I'm sure she is.
But sometimes she does provoke me very much with her nonsense. And her pride. It's the Elliot pride. She's a great deal too much of the Elliot pride.
Yes. They're not a humble family.
Well, you know, we do also just so wish that Charles had married Anne instead.
Anne?
Yes. Didn't you know that Charles wanted to marry her?
No, I didn't. Do you mean Anne refused him?
Oh, yes, certainly.
When was that?
Oh, I don't know exactly. Henrietta and I were still at school then. But I believe it was about a year before he married Mary. Oh, I just so wish Anne had accepted him. We should all have liked her much better. Of course, Papa and Mamma always think it was her great friend Lady Russell's doing. Do you know Lady Russell?
I have met her, yes.
Well, they think Charles was not learned and bookish enough for Lady Russell. So she used her persuasion to make Anne refuse him.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Well, that's what they think. But
But I don't really know.
Look, Cousin Charles is coming.
My congratulations.
Here they are. Louisa, where were you? I couldn't find you anywhere. Who's that coming up the hill?
It's Mr. Hayter with Charles and Henrietta.
I'm tired of looking at Winthrop. I want to go home.
Hello there.
Hello.
Hello. Look at all the nuts we've gathered.
Oh, very well done, Louisa. Very well done indeed.
Well, it doesn't seem very many for 4 people.
Well, there are only 2 of us. Well, 1.5, really.
Oh, and who, pray, was the half?
Oh, myself, of course. Everyone knows a sailor's worth only half a lady on dry land.
My aunt was sorry not to see you, Mary.
Oh?
She sends you her compliments. And to you, Anne.
How kind. I hope you gave her my good wishes.
Charles, I want to go home. Would you say goodbye to Mr. Hayter so that we can start?
Oh, Cousin Charles is coming with us.
You're quite right, Captain Wentworth. Firmness of purpose is the only thing.
Long, Charles.
Oh, steady there.
I do feel rather tired. I don't know
Will
why.
you? Take my arm, then.
Charles, do stop there.
Why? I dislike nettles.
Very disobliging of you to keep dropping my arm at every moment.
Well, I do not feel you have been very obliging to me today, Mary.
Charles.
Got him.
Why do I have to walk on the side where all the nettles are? There are none on Anne's side.
Look, a weasel. Here, Prince, come on, boy. Come on, boy.
Charles! We'll never get him along at this rate. But very ill-used, Anne. Very ill-used indeed.
Ah, there's a carriage.
Oh, where?
Down the lane there. It must be the Admiral, my sister. If we're lucky, we'll catch them at that gate.
Oh, good! Quick, we must hurry.
Well, you must all have been a long way. We'd be glad to offer a lady a seat if anyone's tired.
Oh, no. No, thank you. No, I'm not in the least tired. Nor am I.
It would save you a full mile across the fields, and we're going through Uppercross. Mrs. Musgrove?
No, thank you.
Miss Elliot.
Oh, no, it's very kind, but really not, thank you.
Well, we shall be home well before Frederick, my dear.
If he decides to come home at all.
Asking me to make a third in a one-horse chaise.
It was very kind of him to suggest it.
Yes, so it was.
Good walking to all of you.
Sophie.
Miss Elliot, I'm sure you're tired. Do let us have the pleasure of taking you home. There's plenty of room for 3, I assure you. Indeed, if we were all like you, I do believe we could seat 4.
Oh, it's very kind of you, but really
You must, indeed you must.
Come along, Miss Elliot, we insist. Look, there is excellent room for us all.
Oh, thank you, Miss... Thank you, Captain Wentworth.
Welcome aboard, Miss Elliot.
Goodbye.
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 Everybody.
Come on. Come on. Bye.
Bye.
Come on.
You do look a little tired, Miss Elliot, if you'll allow me to say so.
Yes, I do feel a little fatigued.
Capital girls, those Musgrove girls. Nothing would ever tire them, I dare say, not even if they danced all night.
Oh, I remember the days when nothing could tire me.
My dear, it only ever required one Navy officer to make a young girl feel she could never feel tired again in her life.
My dear, you're being too direct.
Oh. I'm sure Miss Elliot has observed for herself what effect Frederick has had at Uppercross.
Captain Wentworth. Yes.
He certainly means to have one or other of those two girls, Sophie. The trouble is, there's no knowing which.
Oh, you think not?
He's been running after them long enough, I should have thought, to make up his mind.
Well, there's no hurry, my dear. He has plenty of time.
Come to me, dirty me. Rested, Anne. They will have to entertain us. No one else is fit to.
No, I was visiting an old friend.
Oh, dear.
Do you know Lyme?
No, we've never been.
Oh, go. It's a charming place. Only 17 miles away, you know.
What are you talking about?
Lyme. An old friend of mine has settled there for the winter. We were within 20 miles of each other without either of us knowing it.
Oh, do let's go. Let's have an expedition. Yes, what a good idea.
Isn't it a little late in the year for expeditions?
No, we must go. The weather is so fine. Let's go tomorrow.
Well, we can hardly do that. But I see no reason why I shouldn't speak to my father and suggest a day next week.
Oh, I'm wild to go.
But shall we go just for the day?
Well, I hardly think that would be wise. The days are so short now.
Yes, we shall have to spend the night there. You'll come with us, of course, Captain Wentworth.
Oh, you must come. It's your idea.
Oh, yes, I should like to, very much. I was going to go and see the Harvilles again soon anyway.
Hurrah! Then it's all arranged. To Lyme, to Lyme, to Lyme.
Well, Mrs. Musgrove, did you see the sea?
Yes, thank you. Very pretty, I'm sure.
Oh, this air, it does a man good.
I can smell the sea already. I must go to it at once.
You can get to it from those steps. Oh, excuse me.
Oh, it was a good idea of yours for us all to come to Lyme.
Oh, you haven't seen anything yet.
3.5 hours. It's just about what I reckon.
What time is it now?
Getting on for 1 o'clock.
Yeah. The light will go soon. We don't have much time for looking about.
Charles, go and arrange our rooms and order the dinner. We mustn't waste time.
Very well, my dear.
Oh, almost everything shut up. All the visitors have gone.
I'm glad. We shall have Lyme to ourselves.
There's plenty to see, I assure you. You won't lack for amusement.
I want to see the cob. I've heard so much about it.
You shall do so directly. My friend Captain Harville's house is on the way.
Right by the sea?
As close to it as possible, as a sailor always likes to be. It's very snug.
Oh, it sounds delightful.
Oh, it is. Though it's a little cramped just now. They have a visitor.
Oh, who's that?
Captain Benwick.
Oh, I don't think I know anyone called Benwick.
He was my first lieutenant on board the Laconia. An excellent young man. I valued him so highly. Poor fellow.
Why, poor fellow?
Well, there's something I should tell you about Captain Benwick.
What is that?
You see, he was engaged to Captain Harville's sister.
Was engaged?
I'm afraid so. They waited for a year or two, as people do, you know, for money and promotion. And he did well for prizes. The money came soon enough.
But not the promotion.
Well, that came too, at last. But too late, I'm afraid, for Fanny Harville. She died the summer before, while poor Benwick was still at sea.
Oh, terrible.
Well, it was, you know, it was. I don't think it's possible for a man to be more attached to a woman than Benwick was to Fanny. I've never known anyone more afflicted.
Oh, poor Captain Benny.
Well, everything's arranged. Let's go and see what we're supposed to see, shall we?
The sea. Oh, yes.
Oh, well, there's nothing else to look at, is there?
Of course, Mrs. Musgrove. There's the cob.
There it is.
Is that all?
I'm afraid so. Were you expecting more?
Well, yes, Captain Wentworth. I rather think I was.
Oh, I'm looking forward to meeting Captain Wentworth's friends, aren't you, Anne? Navy officers are so brotherly, I think. So open and upright.
Well, I don't know very many.
I think they have warmer hearts than any other men in England.
Well, how lucky we came to Lyme, then. Your acquaintance in the profession is about to be doubled.
Well, here we are.
Oh!
Well, I did tell you it was small. This is a very happy moment for me. There's nothing I like more than introducing my friends to each other. Mrs. Musgrove, Mrs. Harville.
How do you do?
How do you do?
Captain Harville, and Captain Benwick. How do you do? Mr. Musgrove.
How do you do?
Miss Musgrove.
How do you do?
Miss Louisa Musgrove.
How do you do?
And Miss Elliot.
How do you do?
Awful lot of
Well, welcome to Lyme. Any friends of Frederick's are friends of ours.
Thank you very much.
There is plenty of room, you'll find.
That's awfully nice.
Oh, Mrs. Musgrove, perhaps you'd like to sit over here. There's plenty more room over by the... Oh, Mr. Musgrove.
You will dine with us, all of you, of course.
Well, it's extremely kind of you, Mrs. Harville, but we are so many, and we have ordered dinner at the inn.
At the inn? Dinner at the inn? Oh, but Frederick, how could you allow it?
We really cannot impose ourselves on you.
It's a matter of course that we should entertain Frederick's friends when they come to Lyme. We really are too many for you today.
Yes, I think we are.
Do you find you like Lyme, Miss Musgrove?
Oh, it's charming. And the cliffs. Oh, they're even more beautiful than Captain Wentworth told us. We can't understand why we've never been here before.
No. Do you like Lyme, Captain Bennet?
I? Yes. Yes, I do.
The countryside is very beautiful.
Yes. Yes, it is.
I expect you walk a good deal.
Yes. Yes, I do.
Oh, Captain Harville, what is that?
Oh, this? This is my fishing net.
Are you a fisherman?
Alas, no, I'm too lame for that these days. No, I'm making it for one of the men on the cob.
You must be very clever.
Oh, yes, Miss Musgrove. He's always drawing or carpentering or varnishing or gluing. Those bookcases there, he made those himself.
Really?
You must be a great reader, Captain Harville.
Oh, no, those are Captain Benwick's books. I don't have much time for reading myself.
Show them some of your rarities, Harville.
Well, I've nothing very much.
Indeed you have. He never comes home from abroad without something curious.
Oh, do show us.
All right.
It really is very snug here, Mrs. Harville.
Oh, do you think so? I'm so glad. That's just what we want it to be, snug.
Do you have any children, Mrs. Harville?
Oh, yes, 4. 2 boys and 2 girls.
Oh, how very nice. I have 2 boys of my own.
Frederick, it's good to see you again. Benwick and I were talking about the Laconia only the other day.
Ah, the Laconia.
Oh, we know all about you and the Laconia, Captain Harville. Captain Wentworth has told us everything.
What about our French frigate? Did he tell you about that?
French frigate? I thought that was when you commanded the Yass.
Oh, it was nothing. A skirmish.
Indeed it was not. Let me tell you what really happened, Miss Musgrove.
Yes. I'm much impressed with your library, Captain Benwick.
Well, I like to read.
So do I. Do you read more prose or poetry?
Well, I think we're very fortunate to live now because it is such a very rich age for verse.
Oh, I agree.
Indeed. Indeed. Do you know that song from Marmion? Where shall the lover rest, whom the fates sever from his true maiden's breast, parted forever? Where through groves deep and high sounds the far billow, where early violets die under the willow.
Yes, that is very, very... Do you like Lord Byron? I think he's such a witty poet.
Very. But not merely witty, Miss Elliot. He can write, too, with such intense passion. Peace to thy broken heart and virgin grave. Ah, happy bit of life to lose the worst. That grief, though deep, though fatal, was thy first. Thrice happy ne'er to feel nor fear the force of absence, shame, pride, hate, revenge, remorse. That is very powerful, Miss Elliot. Very powerful indeed.
Captain Benwick, I hope you do not only read poetry.
Very little else these days.
I see. You will forgive me if I say that I think you might find prose less distressing.
Oh, well, yes, you may be right.
And there is as much solace in it, I think you will find.
Oh, how could they possibly have sat us all down to dinner?
Well, I can't think. It was very kind of them to suggest it.
Oh, yes, I think they're absolutely delightful. Oh, yes. Oh, but I'm so sorry for Captain Benwick, aren't you, Anne? Oh, to lose someone I loved so deeply. I think it would kill me.
Well, you'd be very unhappy, certainly.
Oh, I'd never recover.
I expect you would in the end.
Oh, no. Never.
Well, perhaps Captain Benwick will. I refuse to believe his prospects are blighted forever.
Oh, how can you say that?
Men do get over such things. He may well rally and be happy with someone else. It often happens.
I think you're quite heartless. How could he rally? You heard what Captain Wentworth said. He was very deeply afflicted.
He must still be quite young. And we must hope for his sake that he does recover, mustn't we?
What are you looking at so earnestly, Captain Wentworth?
Why? Beauties of nature, of course.
Oh, yes, Mary, you should have been with us. We had a delightful stroll down by the sea.
Oh, there's a delicious breeze, Mary, blowing... Oh, what direction did you say it was from, Captain Wentworth?
The southeast.
Oh.
I expect it will where?
Where?
Hello, what's that?
Oh, it's a carriage.
It's a conical, like yours, Master.
Really?
Only just come round from the stable yard. Someone must be leaving.
Servant seems to be in mourning.
Well, if you're all going to look and no one's going to tell me what you're looking at, I suppose I'd better come to the window myself.
Oh, look. Look, that must be the owner coming now.
It's the man we met on the beach.
So it is. Oh, I wonder who he is.
Oh, no one very important, I dare say.
Ah, just the man we want. Could you tell us who that gentleman was who just went away?
Why, yes, sir, Mr. Elliot.
Elliot?
Yes, ma'am. A gentleman of considerable fortune, they say. Came in last night from Sidmouth. I dare say you heard his carriage while you were at dinner, sir.
I don't remember it.
Going to Crooken now, sir. On his way to Bath in London.
Bless me. It must be our cousin Anne. It must be Mr. Elliot. Well, Charles, it must be. He was in
Right,
mourning, you see, just like our Mr. Elliot. Oh, how very extraordinary.
Very extraordinary indeed.
Well, in the same inn with us. Oh, Anne. Must be our cousin. Our father's heir. Pray, sir, did his servant not say whether Mr. Elliot belonged to the Kellynch family?
No, ma'am, he mentioned no particular family. He said his master was a very rich gentleman who would be a baronet someday.
There. You see, just as I said. Heir to Sir Walter Elliot. Well, I knew it would come out if it was so.
Mary.
Oh, you can depend on it. It's something his servants take care to have known wherever he goes.
Thank you.
Oh, how extraordinary, though, Anne. I do wish I'd looked at him more carefully. Well, if we'd known who he was, he could have been introduced to us.
Mary, you seem to forget that our father and Mr. Elliot are not... Well...
Yes, quite. Perhaps an introduction might not have been desirable.
Oh. Oh, yes. But of course you will mention that we've seen him, Anne, won't you, next time you write to Bath?
Why don't you write yourself?
Well, there's no point in our both writing. Besides, Elizabeth is such a very unsatisfactory correspondent.
It's good sense, Miss Elliot. Very good sense indeed. I have very much enjoyed discussing literature again with someone. I've missed that sort of conversation.
Oh, Captain Bennet, I appeal to you. Captain Wentworth will not be serious.
About what, Miss Musgrove?
Oh, he says that the ropes at the front of ships are used for hanging mutinous sailors. Well, surely that's not true.
Hardly, no. I want you to know, Miss Elliot, that you've done a very good deed.
Aye, Captain Harville.
Making poor Benwick talk so much. I wish he had company like yours more often. I know it's bad for him to be shut up here as he is, but what can we do? We can't part with him.
Of course we can't. But in time, perhaps. Well, we know what time does.
I hope it may do it for him, poor fellow.
Now, my dear, you've walked quite far enough for today.
You're right, my dear, as usual. Frederick, we can go with you no further. I'm instructed to return to port forthwith.
Well, I shall come and see you again soon. This time hasn't been nearly long enough.
It never is. You must bring your friends to see us again. And if you refuse to dine with us then, we shall never speak to you again.
I shall take that as an order.
And so you should. Goodbye, Mrs. Musgrove.
Goodbye. We have enjoyed meeting you.
Yes,
Goodbye,
goodbye.
Mrs. Musgrove.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Mrs. Harville.
Goodbye,
Goodbye,
Harville.
Goodbye.
I say, Wentworth, it's nearly 1 o'clock. We really ought to be getting back.
Oh, but we must go to the cob again.
But it'll take 1/4 of an hour there and back.
Well, it can't make any difference.
Yes, Charles. We mustn't let a few minutes spoil our day.
I insist. I will not be denied.
Well, it's settled then. If you insist, we obviously have to.
Indeed, you do.
It's always good just to look at the sea, I think, don't you?
Oh, yes.
Oh, the glad waters of the dark blue sea.
Our thoughts as boundless and our souls as free.
Corsair.
I know almost everything Lord Byron's ever written.
Charles? Charles, it's too windy for me up here.
Can you manage them, my dear?
Yes, I think so, thank you.
Mind your step.
Take care, they are rather slippery.
Yes, thank you, Captain Bennet.
You can jump me down.
Well, the pavement's rather hard, you know. You'll hurt your feet.
Oh, of course I won't. There, it didn't hurt at all. I'll do it again, just to show you.
I really don't advise it. You'll jar yourself.
Oh, nonsense.
You will.
Come on, Louisa.
Is there no one to help me?
Go to him, go to him. I can support her.
You sure?
Yes, yes. Leave her to me and go to him. Rub her hands, rub her temples. Look, here are some salts. Take them, take them.
Father and mother.
Get a doctor, quickly. Get a doctor. Captain Bennet, let him go. He knows where the doctor lives.
Yes, yes, all right. You go back.
Mary, be calm. You must be calm.
I can't bear it. I can't bear it.
Anne, what are we to do next? What in heaven's name are we to do next?
Carry her to the Harvilles. But gently, oh, gently.